Today I am streaming, and as the title suggests, my goal today is to try to figure out data moshing. And when I say figure out, I'm trying to figure out a workflow to do data moshing entirely in the cloud, like in a Google Drive. So far, I've not been successful. I've spent my morning working on this. So I'm going to continue working on it on the live stream, but I'll show you how to do it, like just with the command line. The reason I try to avoid teaching things on the command line is that you have to explain a lot about the command line in order to get people using it, and not everyone wants to do that. And also, different command line environments are different depending on your computer, so it just kind of adds layers and layers to the instructions. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to do this totally within like a Google Drive workflow. And I thought I had it. I had the whole, finally got things the right place, and it was the script completed, but the image was not glitched, or the GIF was not glitched. So I don't know. I have an idea. I think what's happening is that Google is adding a bit of extra processing on the video that gets created, because Google's like, hey, I know this is an AVI video and there's something wrong with it, so I'm going to try to fix it for you. And then it fixes it, and in doing that, it erases the part that I created. So I don't know. I'm going to keep trying some things, but I thought I could kind of talk through what data moshing is doing and show you some examples of it, and then try to figure out this whole workflow. Sorry for the tunnel effect, by the way. I'm going to be using I wanted to display some things on my desktop. Let me close that down. All right, so make sure you can still see me. All right, so this is the code I'm going to be using for data moshing. I'll probably just be using this. This is Tomato Pie. It's by someone named Casper on GitHub, and it's pretty useful. It's very simple and straightforward. So much so that I might even try to see if I could implement it as a module, but I don't know how to do that actually, so I'd have to figure that out. But it's actually very, it just works, and it's great. But you have to work in a command line environment to work with this code. So that's the part I'm trying to figure out a way around, and I've so far been unsuccessful. But let me show you the kind of thing I'm doing here. I'm interested in, so I think there's a subreddit that does this, and it's a good collection of examples of the kind of data moshing that I'm talking about and working on doing here. This is the subreddit Broken GIFs, and I would consider a broken GIF more of a genre than a form in the context of glitch art. And there's different, I guess, tropes within broken GIF glitch art. Things like the streaking effect, things like, oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, that's a good one. Things like this, and there are different, sometimes there's names for them, but sometimes it's just sort of a thing you recognize. This particular one, I don't know how well this is, you can see this on here. Let me get a bigger view of it if I can. This is a good one. In fact, I mean, this one might be a repost. It's so good, but you can see here. What's happening here is an iframe has been removed from a video, and the way that video compression works is like every now and then, it's not like every pixel, like every frame of a video has every pixel in it. Video compression formats save memory by saying every now and then, okay, here's what all the pixels should look like, and then for the next, let's say 10 frames, these pixels are going to move and these are going to stay the same. And so that way, instead of saying every color every time, it just remembers or knows that these are going to move together and these are going to go this way. And that reset where the canvas just says, okay, everything is now this, that's called an iframe. And if you remove that, the motion vectors continue, but with a different set of imagery because the iframe was deleted. And that's what's happened here. To create this effect, it sort of makes a kind of sticking effect, or a face sticking effect, where this guy appears to come out of himself, I guess. I don't know, I can't even tell if it's the same actor. But a very nicely done effect here. This is, I don't know what the context is for that. sometimes, let's see, I don't know what you call that one. Doesn't even. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of the same thing. This one looks like somebody did this on purpose. I wonder if there's like I see some like this on TikTok, so I almost wonder if there's a TikTok filter. But that's what somebody's doing. Very carefully selected iframe removal there to make it look like the scene is changing, but the hand is staying the same. So it's yeah. Again, that's the iframe sticking thing. So I've done a few of these and I like doing it. I find it really, I don't know, relaxing. So I'll show you some of mine if you don't mind. I do post them on Reddit, on this subreddit. Some of them are okay, some of them are, I think, really good. I was really happy with this one, but it has to do with serendipity. Like, it's the unpredictability of the processes involved that sometimes it's just, you never know what you're going to get. Gary Busey is, of course, somewhat unusual looking and energetic, and I mean, he kind of plays into that character, and so this GIF I think turns out pretty well as far as working with Gary Busey. This one I thought I was really happy with, but it didn't get as much traction. This is some kind of creepy robot child face that a researcher has developed to express emotions. And so I just thought the video was really spooky anyway. And I thought it was cool to kind of play with and glitch the video to make it kind of exaggerate the spookiness of it. So I don't know. What is this? Nick? I don't remember this one by name. Let me see what this is. By the way, I have a new microphone. I don't know if you can tell if it sounds different. Hopefully it does, because this is like I had to, buy this and set it up. hopefully it's an improvement. I think it's like in listening to some of the recorded playback, it sounds a lot less echoey. What is this one? Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not amazing, but it's okay. Nick. Yeah, and this was just a conversation I had with this artist Shepard Tom. I was trying to mimic his style, and I just cannot. I can't reverse. I've been trying to reverse engineer what he does, and it hasn't totally worked. I thought this one was pretty cool. This was actually This came from my attempts to reverse engineer his techniques, but this is from the Hong Kong protest, and it's just this flying dropkick looks pretty cool. And so, but it's also like a real violent encounter between police and protesters in Hong Kong, and so I thought it was an important thing to essentially commemorate and draw attention to. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all these. I think they vary. So I'm going to Gary. What was Gary? I usually just name them the first name of the person involved. Okay, well, I usually, one of the techniques I really like is blooming or P-frame duplication, and that's what happens with the kick there, not that one, but in the kick one, so a P-frame is one of those frames where it says everything's moving now, and if you duplicate that, it'll keep moving, but only those parts of it that were supposed to move. And then other things that weren't supposed to move kind of get dragged along with it, and so you get this smearing effect or a blooming effect. And that's what you're seeing there. So I did these mostly using a tool called AviDemux, AviDemux, and it's hard to work with AviDemux because you have to get the right broken version of AviDemux in order to actually do it. And I don't have the ability to install that on my Mac anymore. I haven't tried on my Linux computer. Maybe I could. But I wanted to come up with a more reliable workflow to explain it and teach my students how to do it. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Tomato Pie does work pretty well. Let me show you what is involved in using it as a downloaded script. I'm just kind of checking my windows here. I have lots of things open, so I want to make sure to kind of make some sense of this as I move through it. I spent all day, again, yesterday, working on a tutorial video for doing pixel sorting. Pretty happy with the basics of that video that I've got kind of sketched out and some of it recorded, but it's just a lot of little pieces, and I want to make sure it comes together smoothly, so I'm still working on it, but that'll be, my afternoon. Okay, so this is tomato pie, and I'm going to be kind of moving some things around on my desktop so that I can show them to you. So let's see. If I can, yeah, let me do this. So I have acquired a file that I called reaction. Let me reopen some windows here to show you how I got this. So I like to get, if I'm breaking a GIF, I like to get a GIF that has a lot of expression in it, or some specific interesting moment. And I'm going to go ahead and do one just from scratch here. So I think, mind blown kind of GIFs, like really emotive GIFs, can work really well. It's just you have to kind of select them a little bit. Let's see. You want them short, but not too short. And you want them where someone is more or less staying in about the same place visually within the frame. I mean, these are all good for what they are. I'm just trying to see if I can find one that I suspect will glitch well. Let's see. Whoa. You know what? This one, this Andy Richter one, I think. Well, it's really low resolution, but that way he turns his head there, I think could look really interesting. So I'm going to try this one. It could also be too low resolution. So I'll see. You know what? This Steve Brule one looks good too. Actually, I'm going to do the Steve Brule one. It looks like a little bit better resolution. So when you find a GIF on Giphy, there's actually several things you have to do to get to the point where you can glitch it. One of the things about GIFs on Giphy is that they are not actually GIF files. They're MP4 files, and to glitch a video, it's easier to work with a file that's been put into an AVI container. So lots of steps involved in doing that. They're not particularly complicated steps, but you kind of have to know where to click and what to do. So I'm going to walk through that step of taking this GIF and transforming it into a video that I can then try out a glitch process on. So let's try it. So when you look at a GIF on Giphy, you can click on like the media link here, and it shows you different versions of it. So you've got the source file with no edits, and then the MP4 and so on. Let's see, I'm not sure what this one's going to look like. Let's see. Oh, so this is actually the original .gif file that someone uploaded. Actually, I can't work with this one, or I don't want, I usually work with the MP4 version, but let's just try it. I think I can probably convert this directly to an AVI. Let's try it. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. I'll call it Steve, because this is John C. Reilly playing the character Steve Brule. And I'll just, there's Steve in the original GIF form. Can you see that? You can kind of see Steve there. Looks like my screen is cropped in an unusual way. I'm not sure why, but there's Steve. And now I'm going to try to convert that GIF into an AVI file. So I use Cloud Convert for this. I could do it from my command line also. I have with FFmpeg. I think I can do that, but I'm going to just try it through here and see if this will work. So this is much like the process I did the other day with, what was I doing? JPEGs to BMPs and back again. A similar thing here, and you can see I've already tried this workflow with an MP4 this morning. Let's try it with this GIF and see what I can do. Save video, and we want AVI. There are different settings for the AVI, but I'm just going to leave them all on the default and see what happens. Now, another thing, hopefully you notice this is a relatively short GIF and relatively low resolution. In other words, there's not a lot of data to process here, and that's on purpose. Like, I don't want to use a really big video file to do this, especially as as you're trying things out. You want to work on something that's relatively small so that you can get used to the whole process. And then as you kind of develop your skill and have an idea, you can work on bigger files. So we'll save Steve, and all right, so let's see, there's steve.avi. So here's two versions so far. We've got steve.gif and steve.avi. Now this is my command line, and I've been working on this already, so let me clear that workspace here. So this is a Mac computer that, I mean, not a Mac, this is a Linux computer, but the way that I interact with the command line, this is like the terminal on a Mac, it's going to be very, very similar on a Mac as far as the actual commands and what you do. It'll be a little different on Windows, and unfortunately I don't have a Windows computer I can try this on. But there is an analogous set of processes on Windows. In fact, I think most of the same commands work on Windows command lines now. Let me show you a couple of things, and this is not a full-on tutorial on terminal use. It's just a quick explanation of what I'm doing as I move around here. In fact, let me just kind of start a new terminal and show you what I need to do to get to where I am. One of the things that I think is hard to get about a terminal is that it is location specific. In other words, when I'm typing right here, I am somewhere on my computer, and even though I'm not visually seeing a picture of the files and the folders and whatever to indicate where I am actually somewhere. And you can find out where you are if you type pwd. So pwd means print working directory, and right now I'm in my home directory, which is called home/Zach. That's the name of my username on this computer. You can also get to this home if you ever get lost in your terminal. You can get back to here by going cd and then a tilde character. Tilde is a shorthand, like a nickname for the home folder. And cd just means change directory. So wherever we are, we can change directory to some other directory if we know how to name that other directory. The names of directories are called file paths, or directories. And as long as you know the name of it, you can get there, or if you know how to get there from where you are right now. So, again, I have to do all this kind of abstract explaining. So right now I'm in my home directory. I want to get in the same directory as steve.gif and steve.avi, and that I know is on my desktop. So I'm going to change directories into my desktop. Now I can go like that. I can just type the word desktop because desktop was immediately below my home folder. So let me go back to the home folder, and then if I want to see where I am, again I do pwd. If I want to see what files and folders are in the location that I'm in right now, I get that by typing ls. On a Windows computer you would type dir instead of ls. And these are all the things that are in my home folder. It's kind of a mess, but it's all there. The main thing you can see are the big folders that I use to organize things, like my desktop, my documents, my downloads, games, music, video, those kinds of things. I also have lots of working project folders, which are, don't worry about that. Again, I want to get to my desktop, so I can go there. You can also, wherever you are, you can get to your desktop by combining that tilde shortcut with the name of the desktop folder. So it would be like cd /desktop. And now here I am. And I have some other files, but you can see I've got steve.avi and steve.gif here, so I'm in the right place. I've also got this file called tomato.py, which is the one I'm going to be using. So let me clear this out and show you some things I can do with tomato.py. Let's see. So I got tomato.py from GitHub. This is the source code, but I just literally downloaded it. It's a very straightforward, but it's just one script. It's not a whole bunch of things. You don't really need to install other things, although I believe it uses FFmpeg, so you might need that as well. Let's see, maybe you don't. Yeah, I don't see it in here. Maybe you don't. Or it's sometimes, yeah, haven't really looked through the code here. But if you do need FFmpeg, that is something you might have to install at the command line level. But yeah, I don't see any reference to it here, so maybe not. Although it's doing some OS things, like it's sending some commands into the computer, so some of those might be FFmpeg commands, but I don't know. I haven't really looked at it. So let's just try it. So this is how you do it. Now normally, like if you are writing Python and you share your script, the way that someone else would run it is they would download it to their computer. So I've got tomato.py here. I'll go ahead and just move it over this way so you can see it. I've got tomato.py, and I just need to invoke Python and then ask Python to run tomato.py for me. So remember, I don't know if you remember, but the way that I access Python here is by typing Python. I like to use Python 3. And this is now the Python interpreter. So you can use Python in the interactive interpreter this way. I don't want to though. I want to run Python and then tell Python just to run this script file. So I do that just by typing Python 3, a space, and then the script that I want it to run. So I run this and then I get this explanation. And this is the error message from this script. It's basically saying, hey, you need to do something. So here's what you need to do. And it's not super verbose. The documentation is not totally that clear, I think. But if you notice what it's suggesting I do is, when I first ran it, it said, run this with .h added. So you'll see the help file. So this is just Python 3 tomato pie -h. And then that gives me the list of options that I can pass to try and actually do some glitching. And the most important one, I think, is probably the input one. And so what it's saying here is give it -i and then all caps it says input. And what it means whenever you see something in all caps like that, that's where it's saying that's where it wants me to supply my own value. So I'm not going to type capital input here. I'm going to type the file that I want to use as input. So that's going to be steve.avi in this case. And similarly for these other ones. So I need to pick a mode. I need to pick some other things. Okay, so let me think. What should we try? Now there's there is some explanation on the GitHub page about some of these options. Maybe we should look at that before going any further. So void does nothing. Okay, randomize will just kind of shuffle things around, I guess. We could try that. Reverse, I guess we'll reverse things. Invert switches each consecutive frame with each other. Typo there. I'm not really sure what that would look like here. And blooming is going to duplicate a certain number of frames. So let's try the bloom. I like the bloom effect. So let's try that one. So we say -m and then we type bloom for that because I'm just following the directions here. It says -m and then bloom. And how do we do this? N is going to be which frame to duplicate, and then C is how many times to duplicate it. Okay, I think I got that backwards earlier when I was trying this out. So wait, what was it again? N is the frame that we want to manipulate. I don't know how many frames are in this video, but not many, right? So let's just say 4. And then let's duplicate it 15 times. See what happens. Okay, and so it doesn't take very long in this case. And there's my new one. Let me put my things back the way they were. This is the new file that's created. One thing that's really nice about the way that Tomato Pie works is that it just automatically names the file based on what you just did, which I think is a really convenient way to help keep track of different iterations, because you definitely want to try different things and see what they do. So let's see what this one does. Oh, okay, whoa. Yeah, I don't, okay, so it kind of sticks right there. You see how like after the first right there, it sticks. So it didn't really bloom, it just kind of froze. So for the bloom to effect to really work well, you have to catch a P frame. And it looks like I didn't catch a P frame. It looks like I caught like an I frame maybe, or something, a B frame. I don't know, that result was not amazing. So let's try again. Let me try this on a different frame, so frame 3 in this case. Let's see how this one looks. Yeah, once again, not amazing. Huh. So let's go a little bit, let's go the other way. Let's go to 6. It would be helpful if I knew how many frames there were in the original. Of course, you can reglitch, like you can do a GIF, like you can do one version of it and then you can take that version and then add another effect to it. Yeah, once again, not that amazing. Okay, so let me just try to understand this file a little bit better. Let me see what's actually in it. You can open a GIF in Photoshop and learn a lot about it. I have Glimpse on this computer instead of Photoshop, so let me see if I can just learn a bit more about this. Okay, there are 24 frames in this GIF. That's good to know. So let me try to GIF one let me try to bloom a frame much later. So let's try frame 22. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay, so for some reason it didn't work. I don't quite see why. But let me try a slightly lower number, 18. Okay, so that seems to have worked. But you know what, the GIF, so it's doing more. I feel like it's doing more. So it did bloom at the end there, but I feel like it's doing some iframe dropping early on, and that sort of stretching at the end is the bloom effect. So like you can see it more clearly. Let me make it much more exaggerated so you can kind of see what the bloom effect really does. So this will be 50 duplications of that final frame, but there's something glitchy at the beginning which I didn't intend in this case. So see how his face just kind of keeps stretching. That's the bloom effect. Like it looks like it keeps growing. So you'll have to see people do it on things like that where there's a camera panning in and out or zooming in and out, and it either panning or zooming, and it often creates kind of like that growing kind of look, or sometimes a collapsing kind of look if you go the other way. It's pretty cool, but I don't know why it didn't work. I mean, I don't know why it's already sort of glitched. I didn't intend for that, so I wonder if just like the raw steve.avi. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Okay. I wonder, is there an option to preserve iframes? Because that's could be what's happening here. It could be it's dropping on iframe. Ignore first frame. So does ignore, do you think that means don't try to glitch it, or does that mean like drop it from the output? I don't know, let's find out. So, I don't know. I don't really understand what that's letting me do, but did it work? Did not seem to output a file. Okay, it's not working. I don't know why. It says it works, but it did not create a new file, so that's kind of weird. Well, okay, let me show you another one I made this morning. I took it's like a lot of things, trial and error. I found this on Giphy, like I usually do. I don't know who this woman is or what she's so shocked about, but it's it's a good example of like that zooming in kind of thing. And using tomato pie, I transformed it. This is a bloom that I think really worked out really well as far as the broken GIF. I might even share this one on Reddit. Worked out pretty nicely, I think. It's a bit chaotic, a little bit creepy, but not terrible. It's a little busy visually, but I think I ultimately really like it. Now, this is a whole workflow that I've been able to do on my desktop, on my computer, and if you're trying to do this as well, really you have to. The big challenge I would think is not so much working with tomato pie and making choices there, but kind of figuring out how to work in your command line if that's not something you're used to doing. So I'm gonna go back into Google here and see what I can figure out. See if I can figure out a way to do this. I don't know. I just, because I did the same process, like applying the same parameters to produce that you just saw there. I did it in Google, and this is what it looks like when I did it all on a Google Drive. Which is, it doesn't look like anything. It actually just hangs at that moment where I bloomed it. So I think that Google's processing has corrected the bloom, like it's corrected the problem that tomato pie introduced, but that was a strategic problem. I wanted that problem to be there. So I need to figure out how to get that not to happen. And I'm thinking that if I can somehow zip the output before it gets downloaded, I think that will probably prevent Google from processing the video file. In order to do that, I'm going to have to add something to the TomatoPie script, though, I think, because the way I've got it set up to run here in this notebook is it's running this script file, and TomatoPie handles its own output, so I have to go into that and see if I can figure out how to have it zip that instead. So this is the part where I'm just going to have to try to figure it out, I guess, on the stream here. So let's take a look at TomatoPie. Really a very, not a super long script here. Okay. So let's see what it's doing. It looks like it streams the output in binary form, I think. It also creates a temporary directory and then puts some files in there and then deletes it. And it gives you, so this file out is the, so bstream until marker is where it's generating, it's like putting the file out there, I think. So let's see. This is where it figures out the name. Great. This is where it deletes an old version of the file if there is one. Okay, interesting. Yeah, and this is where it generates that. So let's just see, maybe if I just add a line right here, like zip it, maybe it'll work here. And so I need to figure out how do I zip from Python. In a command line, you can literally just type the word zip if you have the zip utility on your computer, but I don't know if there's something special we need to do with Python. So let's see. This is how I figure it out, right? Just Google it. And see what Stack Overflow has to say. Yeah, okay, so it's using OS, and it says to use this module called zip file. Okay, I guess we could do that. I was trying to keep it simple, but if zip file is pretty standard. Okay, let's try it. So I think I get the idea from here. And I'm going to try this first on my local version of TomatoPie, and then see if I can make it work and create a zip file. And if that works, then I'll try to upload it on Google and see how that goes. All right, so import zip file, and then this is how we learn. We just copy and paste the right thing, from Stack Overflow, except you have to know what you're getting, I guess. My zips. I'll call this my zipped video. Hello? Somebody was just yelling something. Okay, so then it looks like this just kind of adds to it, right? So yeah, so it's just zf.write and then the file name. So let's see, zf.write seems to be the function within the zip file thing. So let's do I need to, no, okay. I guess it is just its own file handle. So, okay. So let's just do like that. zf.write file out. I don't know. Let's see what happens and make sure, yeah, this is the same copy up here. So let's redo one of these things that actually worked. I think that worked. well, at least, oh yeah, and let's take this FF0 part off because I don't know what that did. So if this works, it should create a zip folder, maybe? Okay, well it did, so here it is. I don't know if that's in view on the stream, but let me pull it over here. It did make this myzipvideo.zip. So what's in myzipvideo.zip? Oh, there it is, okay. So there's Steve Bloom C12. Great, so let's extract that onto the desktop. And yeah, we'll just replace that. And it is the same effect. Look, so that's good. So that means that I was able to zip it from the code, and the zipping didn't cause any problems. So now let's see if we can do, if that will accomplish what I hope it will on Google Drive by preventing Google from adding extra processing to this. Okay, so I think I'm onto something here. I hope so. All right, so this is just a notebook where I'm running this from. This is a Drive folder where I have some files to work on, including that AVI reaction video. And this is a copy of Tomato Pie, so I'm going to replace the copy here with the one that I just modified. And this whole workflow with Google I do find pretty awkward, and it's kind of unusual, but the advantage is that in terms of explaining it and demonstrating it, if I can get this worked out, then I just have this one explanation. Like I just have this one thing to demonstrate and explain, as opposed to going through different versions for your command line. But if you're in my class and you want to try this out, I would recommend you try out the command line version if possible. Okay, so that's hopefully, can I view this on here? Let me make sure this is the version yeah, there's a zip file. So this is my modified version of the Tomato Pie scripts. So now it should create a zip file instead of an AVI file, and it looks like it completed, so I should probably add some more kind of output to that to indicate whether the zip process works or not. Okay, didn't put it here. I probably need to fix the path on it. So where did it put it? That's the thing. Maybe it put it, I'm just curious. Maybe it put it in my home, my top level of my drive. Probably not, but let's see. No, not there. It'd be good to put it into the memory of this notebook, if possible. I wonder if it did that, because that would be a convenient place to find it. Oh, it did. Oh, great. Excellent news. So let's see what this looks like. Let's download it from here. So this is going to be, I should probably make it named with the schema that Tomato Pie uses, so I can definitely do that now that I know that it's possible and I know where it's going to go. But let's see what this ends up looking like. I'll put this onto my desktop, and you see I'm getting lots of different versions of these. Wow, there it is. Okay. It's kind of deeply buried in there, but it's in there. Okay, hang on. Where did it put that? Yeah, I need to kind of improve the folder structure inside of the zip, but kind of works. So this is just proof of concept at this point. So let's see if this bloomed the right way, and it didn't. Man, okay, all that, and I thought it was so close, and it's still the same problem. So there's something different about the way that this gets processed on the Google server, so I really don't know if it's possible to do this on. I mean, I could always try a different cloud service like Azure. Azure might do more or less in terms of processing videos and might avoid this problem. I don't know. I really don't know what would be different about the environment. I mean, unless it's adding that extra layer of encoding. Like, I know it was doing some kind of processing to like generate the preview that you can view in the browser. But I don't know why that would have come into play with this process where I was trying to zip it to avoid that. Oh, I don't know. Well, this has been kind of disappointing. I was not able to figure this out, and I don't think I'm going to be able to, I can't think of anything else to do right now. So I'm going to keep thinking and just see if I can figure out a workflow for this, to do it all entirely inside of a Colab notebook. Another way to do it might be just to, I mean, this will probably end up with the same issue, but just to run the whole processing inside of a notebook, so that it doesn't have to go out into Google Drive itself. But I suspect that'll end up with the same issue. So I'll try it anyway, but it'll take me a while to put that together. I'll basically have to kind of like write a different interface for TomatoPie within a Python notebook kind of way, which shouldn't be too bad, but there's no reason to watch me do that on the stream here. So I'm going to wrap it up and work for a little while longer. And students, and it looks like I have one viewer, whoever this is, if you're in my class, or if maybe it's just me watching myself, but I'm still working on lots of videos. I have 2 more in progress that I've started recording pieces for, and I still need to finish recording and editing. And I will do a 3rd video about this process of datamoshing with TomatoPie if I can figure out how a good workflow for it. I might just do a video with the workflow for what I just did, you know, using it on a terminal. I don't have a Windows computer I can try it on, so that's a little bit frustrating. Well, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here and send you all some more things in Canvas, and hopefully, you know, we'll get some things figured out in terms of glitch art this week. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Have a good day.